Welcome to our tutorial on developing and building small modular nuclear reactors, an innovative solution for clean and sustainable energy in the era of energy transition. Whether you are a project developer, engineer, policymaker, or investor, this series is designed to guide you through the complexities and opportunities in the SMR project development process. In this tutorial, we will explore every step of the journey, from conceptualization to commissioning and startup. We will examine the development and realization phases, addressing the critical challenges of securing permits, obtaining licenses, and structuring project financing. We'll focus on selecting the right types of contracts, identifying key market players, and understanding the benefits of modular construction techniques to streamline development. Our goal is to equip you with the knowledge and tools to develop sustainable energy projects that are not only economically viable but also environmentally responsible. Join us as we take you step by step through this groundbreaking tutorial. Let's build the future of clean energy, one SMR at a time. So it starts with the need for a clean energy solution which can be power supplied by means of a small modular nuclear reactor facility. This means there is a business opportunity which can be developed. To develop the business case and project, you have to follow a number of strategic processes, control processes, work processes with supporting procedures, systems, and tools. We will focus in this tutorial only on key strategic processes regarding contracting and procurement. Project development is performed in 3 phases, and after each phase the project developer has to review and test whether the project can proceed to the next phase. When the front-end engineering and design phase is completed and EPC bids have been obtained from the market, the so-called final investment decision can be made. The project realization phase starts after a positive final investment decision, and when the construction phase is completed the facility should be ready for commissioning and startup. After successful startup and performance testing of the facility, the operation and maintenance phase will start. During all phases deliverables will be prepared and various contracts with various third parties are required. One of the first things to do in the feasibility phase is to map out the strategic processes which are to be followed for your specific project. We have identified 5 main strategic areas which cover strategic planning, finance, risk, people, and improvement. As you can see, there are many strategic topics to be analyzed, discussed, described, and plans to be made. For now, we will focus on Area 1 regarding the strategic planning topics about contracting, procurement, project development and financing. There will be some overlap with Area 2 finance when we will explain the project financing structure. A specific project contracting strategy is normally developed in a number of facilitated workshops where key stakeholders are required to participate. As an example, we use a simple strategy with minimum number of contracts to be placed in the market. There are advantages and disadvantages for the choice between competitive tendering and single-source approach, however the current market conditions do influence this decision. Selection of key original equipment manufacturers is a critical decision which is normally technology-driven and does have an influence on project schedule and pre-investment funding. The pre-FEED and FEED contracts are relatively simple services type contracts, while the EPC or EPCM contract is more complex. The construction subcontracts and purchase orders for materials are placed by the EPC or EPCM contractor. One of the key challenges for clean energy and renewable energy projects is the project economics, and obtaining the required financing for the realization and operation of the asset. So, building a sound and robust economic model with clear investment criteria is a critical success factor for convincing investors to participate in the project. The preparation, testing and running of the model requires various financial and business specialists in order to verify and ensure robustness of the model. To ensure that the CAPEX estimate input is at least a Class 2 estimate -5% to +20% supported with OEM, EPC, or EPCM tender pricing, the project development phases have to be completed in accordance with the technical front-end loading requirements. OPEX estimates have to be developed in line with operational philosophy and with the support of O&M specialists and cost estimators. A special purpose vehicle or SPV is a subsidiary company that's formed to undertake a specific business purpose or activity. The special purpose vehicle owns the assets of the project and manages their maintenance and proper use. An SPV enters into a chain of contracts required for the construction, operation, maintenance and sale of future products or services. Project finance funds long-term industrial projects using a non-recourse or limited recourse financial structure. The debt and equity used to finance the project are repaid solely from the cash flow generated by the project itself. The SPV shareholders can consist of multiple parties such as holding companies of founders and co-founders, off-taker companies, green investment funds or other private equity funds. The shareholders provide equity for the project realization and sometimes also for the project development if the SPV is already in place. Another source of funding may be obtained through notes and project bonds which are issued by the SPV. Governmental bodies and/or agencies are playing a key role in providing the required permits and licenses. However, to make clean energy or renewable energy projects financially feasible, subsidy grants may also be required to achieve a positive investment decision. Commercial lenders such as commercial banks can provide loans normally as senior debt lenders to the SPV. The debt-to-equity ratio can have a great influence on the level of required securities, guarantees, step-in rights and other special conditions. For example, the loan can be arranged as a syndicated loan or subparticipation. A security trustee is typically appointed in debt financing structures and is a party engaged to hold security interests on trust for one or more creditors. The offtake agreements play a very important part, especially in a non-recourse or limited recourse financial structure. For power projects, this can be the power purchase agreements which need to be in place prior to the final investment decision and financial close. The EPC or EPCM contract normally represents the majority of the capex cost and is therefore one of the key components to obtain the required funding. This means that pricing, quantification, execution schedule and financial stability needs to be robust. Normally the EPC tender and contract are subject to in-depth technical review, commercial review and due diligence process. Also, the required securities such as performance securities, parent company guarantees, delayed damages and plant performance liquidated damages can take significant time to get in place. If all elements of the project financing plan are in place, verified and the project still meets the investment criteria, then this should normally lead to a positive investment decision. Depending on the preferred contracting strategy, you will need various types of contracts. The question is, which contract models or standards are you going to use? If you already have a complete set of model contracts, then you only have to include some project-specific terms and conditions and you are ready to start the procurement process. If you do not have any contract models, then you can decide to buy the required contract models from third parties such as Federation of International Consulting Engineers, Institution of Chemical Engineers, NEC or Logic. The advantage of this approach is that the market players are normally pretty familiar with these models and the cost is small compared to making custom bespoke contracts. Normally you still have to make modifications to include the project-specific terms and conditions for your project. Sometimes you need to mix and match between the various model providers because none of them cover the full spectrum. For example, FIDIC does not have a supply agreement for OEMs and a specific EPCM format. As you can see in this example, the number of contract documents in a large EPC contract is significant and they all have to be prepared, reviewed and agreed between the parties. The general conditions and special conditions are normally coordinated by the legal advisor with the support of the contracts manager and other specialists. The employer requirement documents such as scope of work and specific discipline requirements can comprise of 200+ pages excluding the feed documents such as drawings, specifications, calculations, 3D model, reports and other technical documents. The returnable schedules are completed by the bidders and form the commercial proposal of the contractor. Contractor's proposal is basically a technical proposal which describes how the contractor is going to execute the contract. The contracts manager and/or procurement manager prepare the invitation to tender package, including the instructions to bidders about the tendering process and proposal submission requirements. This ITT is sometimes also referred to as ITB, RFQ, or RFP. The preparation time, including reviews and approvals, can take up to a year or more and is normally started at the beginning of the FEED phase. Let's say the project team has decided to use bespoke model contracts for the project, then how do you prepare the required set of contract models? It is recommended to do an in-depth cost and time analysis before you make this decision. The first question to answer is, what types of contracts do we need? Secondly, do you need a full suite of contracts or just the main EPC format? In our experience, the main EPC contract and OEM supply agreement are the most critical contracts. However, for an EPCM approach, also the construction contracts and material purchase terms and conditions are critical. Next thing to do is select an external law firm which will perform the drafting of the required contract models. Since there are significant costs involved, it is recommended to obtain multiple proposals. Depending on your project size, complexity, and shareholders, you can choose to hire an international law firm or hire a local law firm or a combination of the two. Before the law firm can start, the project team has to prepare a project information package with all relevant information and requirements which can be issued to the law firm. After review by the law firm, you may need to conduct a number of clarification and alignment meetings to make sure that the law firm fully understands your requirements and timeline. The first draft of contract models needs to be reviewed by various disciplines in the project team to check that all requirements and special conditions are included. The law firm shall incorporate any required comments or changes and send the final draft contract models to the client. Be aware that this review cycle may need to be done a couple of times, especially when there is project financing involved. To establish a preferred contracting strategy which will be acceptable to the key market players, you will need to conduct market consultation sessions with interested parties. You need to test your preferred strategy with key OEM suppliers, feed contractors, and EPC or EPCM contractors to see if they are willing to bid, but also obtain their views and ideas of how your project can be implemented in the best way possible. After a desktop market review, you have to send expression of interest letters to the pre-selected candidates. Interested parties will receive the project information package after signing a non-disclosure agreement. In our experience, it is best to organize a face-to-face consultation meeting which is not too short, 4 to 6 hours, in which you openly discuss your contracting strategy and listen to the provided feedback. Depending on the feedback and interest in the market, you may have to make some modifications to your strategy for it to be successful. We hope you have gained more knowledge and insights in how to develop and build small modular, nuclear, reactor projects in complex project environment and challenging market conditions. The proven technology for safe and clean energy is available. The OEM and EPC industries have the skills and experience to resource, develop and implement SMR projects. Involve project finance advisors, legal advisors and insurance advisors from day one and ensure that they participate in the contracting strategy development workshops. Select a set of standard contract models which fit and support the preferred contracting strategy with or without special conditions. Preparing a set of bespoke contract forms can be costly and time-consuming. Make sure you consult with the key market players before implementing your preferred project contracting and procurement strategy. So, let's build the future of clean energy. Subscribe now and start your journey towards building the future of energy. Thank you for watching. Please visit the CMC website for more information and free downloads of guidelines, procedures, templates, and example documents.